when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And Yahushua answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you.
All right. So, Yahushua, speaking in the 4th verse of the Gospel of Matthew, said what? Take heed that no man what? Deceive you. Even concerning this virus war, even concerning this COVID-19 virus that we are hearing about, and the casualties of this COVID-19 virus that we're hearing about constantly from day to day on the news media outlets concerning the virus and concerning the vaccine. The first thing we need to make sure is that we are not being deceived. We need to make sure that we are not being deceived by the information that these news media outlets are reporting or giving out to us. We need to make sure that we are not being what? Deceived. Yahushua, speaking to his disciples, when he was asked a question by his disciples, when he mentioned about the building of the temple, not one stone being left up on another stone. And they wanted to know, when would these things be? And his response was, first, make sure that no man deceive you. You understand? But I want to use this as also a theme to imply that we don't want to let no man or no man-made thing deceive us about anything, even concerning a virus. Now the 5th verse says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, whom the world called Christ, and shall deceive what? A lot of people are going to be deceived. A lot of people are living in deceit. A lot of people are living a life of deception. And the thing about being deceived is that, what's the worst thing about being deceived? The worst thing about being deceived is that you don't know you're being deceived. The worst thing about being deceived is that you don't know you are being deceived. That means you can be running around here saying, oh, I know what I know, you understand? But let me tell you something, brother or sister, you understand? The worst thing about being deceived is that you don't know you are being deceived. That's why I pray. That's why I study. And you and I, we don't know if or not we are being deceived by this virus that they are broadcasting over the news media outlets. We don't know if we are being deceived because we are not actually in the laboratories. Allegedly, this virus originated in China, allegedly. You understand? All we know is that we are being bombarded with a virus called COVID-19 on the news media outlets, from ABC, NBC, and all them other alphabet news media outlets. And not only that, we are being bombarded by YouTube bloggers and internet posters as well, and many of them sharing information that they learned from another article that they don't know that to be 100% accurate. because you wasn't in the laboratory. So how can we best keep ourselves? What proof or what guide or what compass do we have to prevent ourselves from being deceived by man or the things of man? What can we use? Well, I'll present to you, my brothers and sisters, my Israelite family, those who are gathered with us locally and those who are viewing us remotely. We need to use the scriptures. And one may say, because of religion in their mind, well, how does religion address this issue about a virus? Well, see, that's the problem. You got too much religion in you that you avoid of the truth. You have too much religious tradition in you that you avoid of the truth. Because you think religion is all about the afterlife. Because you think religion, because you think the scriptures, is all about the afterlife. You are ignorant to the fact that the scriptures, you are ignorant to the truth that the scriptures is not about the afterlife, but the scriptures is about the present life as well as the afterlife. What you do in your present life will affect your destiny, or will decide where you go in the afterlife. So the scriptures has just as much to do with the present life as it does the afterlife. But religious tradition teaches you that church is all about going to heaven. But that's a lie, because you're not going to heaven. Nobody is going to heaven. If you don't believe me, go to the book of Revelation. We're not going there, but the last 2 chapters, we see Jerusalem is coming down from where? New Jerusalem is going to come down from where? It's going to come down from heaven to the earth. Now, I probably just lost a lot of people right there. Because for so long in the Sunday tradition, our people have been taught that we're going to heaven. That's another subject. But I gave you some hints. Go to the book of Revelation, the last 2 chapters. It'll tell you that New Jerusalem is coming down here. It's coming down here, a new earth. You understand? So, a lot of people are being deceived by this virus. And they are placing their faith and they're crying out to the government to give them a remedy to this virus. They're crying out to the scientific community to give them a remedy or to give them insight or guidance on the virus and a vaccine. Now, I'm not against the entire scientific community, because I do believe there are some valuable scientific facts they bring out concerning the virus. You understand? But all I'm saying is that any scientific research and data should be coupled with scriptural insight as well. That's all I'm saying. Meaning no scientific data or no scientific research should be should exclude scriptural data or research. And I know that they tend to do that in this westernized country, you understand? Because they tend to want to separate the secular from the sacred. Okay? But that's a grave mistake. 5th verse. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. So, even at present time, there are many who have been deceived about this this virus. Sixth verse, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of what? Wars. Sixth verse, Matthew 24 says, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all things, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not what? Yet. Okay? So, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. What is a war? Well, I gave you the definition earlier that a war is a conflict of two different parties. You understand? But a war is not just based on guns and tanks and things of that nature. Okay? A war can be two opposite perspectives competing against one another. There are different types of wars in this world. You understand? But I want to use this word war to imply that we're living in an age where we are at war concerning viruses. Viruses. And as I have heard Elder Scales mention, there are viruses that are naturally made by creation. And then there are viruses that are man-made. Okay? And the viruses that we are at war with, that I'm talking about today, is not one that's it's not one that's naturally made, but one that's made by man. See, there are viruses that exist in creation, but then there are viruses that are created in laboratories by what? By who? By man. There are many different types of wars. As I mentioned earlier, there's a war with tanks and guns. And there's even gang wars between two competing gangs in the same neighborhood or in the same city. But there's also what we would call another type of war that does not involve gangs or guns, but involves biology. Have y'all ever heard of a biology war? You ever heard of a biology war?
Biological war.
Or biological war? You ever heard of a biological war? Thank you for the correction. So there are many different types of wars. Biological war. And biology comes from, biological, sense. So there are many different types of wars. Virus wars and biological wars. And this was prophesied would happen when Yahweh was responding to a question asked by his disciples, when shall these things be where there will not be one brick left upon another brick concerning the destruction of the temple? And in the 6th verse he said, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. 7th verse, but nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence, and earthquakes in divers divers places. In the 8th verse, all these are the beginning of sorrows, okay? Now, we are in a virus war. Now, a war is two competing parties that oppose one another, okay? Now, when the Most High made mankind, let's go to Genesis. When the Most High made mankind, Genesis the 2nd chapter, he made him upright, right? Meaning he made him righteous, meaning he made him what? Perfect. Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Brother, read from the 7th to the 9th verse. And Elohim.
7th to the 9th verse?
Yes. And Elohim.
And the Most High Elohim formed man of the dust and of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils and breathed of life, and man became a living being. And the Most High Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Most High Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight of good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge and good and evil.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that well-read verses. Now we see that Elohim, the Most High, made man of the dust of the ground and breathed into him the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Mankind was made in perfect harmony with the Creator. And he put this man in a garden. And the 9th verse says that he gave him every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for what? Food. Good for food. Everything that's sold in Walmart, or in a lot of supermarket food stores today, just because it has food on it, it doesn't mean it's good to eat. Just because the FDA approves of certain food to be sold in the supermarkets, it doesn't mean it's good to what? Intake. Do y'all know what the FDA is? The FDA is a government agency called Food and Drugs Agency, right, Elder? Administration. Known by its acronym FDA. Everything that's sold in the supermarkets they have to go through the government agency called the FDA, which is acronym for Food Drugs Administration. Why in the world would you mention drugs with food? Why?
They put chemicals in the food.
Say it again, Elder.
They put chemicals in the food.
Because a lot of foods that's sold in the supermarkets, you understand, before you get them in their kitchen, chemicals been put in them. They've been injected and impregnated with chemicals, otherwise known as what? Drugs.
If they miss, they spray the ground.
Say it again.
If they miss the food, they spray the ground and get the seeds.
Yes. So, a lot of times we just hear all these different acronyms on the news, and I'm going to get to the other one called the CDC. I know as we hear a lot of news about COVID-19, I know a lot of people hearing about the CDC, and they don't even know what the CDC is. But we're going to bring that out. But notice what the Most High said in the 9th verse. And out of the ground made the Most High, Elohim, to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. See, you don't know what's good for you to intake. You don't know what's good for you to eat unless you study the Torah. Because one thing about the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, it lets you know what is good to eat and what is good to abstain from. It lets you know that everything is not good for human consumption. And just because it's sold in the supermarket stores of today, that does not mean that it's good for you or your family to intake. Did you know that a lot of cancer actually comes from a lot of foods? But when the Most High made mankind, He gave mankind everything that was good for what? Food. He didn't give him anything. He gave him only that which was good for what? Food. Now from there, let's go to Psalms 139. Psalms 139. I won't be long, but I will be Torah strong. Psalms 139. I won't be long, but I will be strong. All right. Psalms 139. We're going to drop down to the 13th verse. Read the 13th and 14th verses, Brother Larry.
Okay, Psalm chapter 139, verse 13 reads, "For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearful and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well."
Read that verse again, brother, from the top.
"For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearful of and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well."
That is beautiful. What is that verse implying? What is that verse implying right there? notice what the psalmist is saying. The psalmist is saying in 139, the 13th and 14th verses,
Yahweh don't make no mistakes.
he don't make no mistakes. But that what he created in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, the 7th through the 9th verse, was Elohim's what? Masterpiece. What did he create in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, the 7th through the 9th verse? He created what? Adam. And in Adam, he created what? Mankind. And listen, the stars in the heavens is not his masterpiece. The ground we walk on is not his masterpiece. The seas is not his masterpiece. The trees and the animals are not his masterpiece. But the masterpiece of Elohim, the crown of his creation is mankind. The crown of his creation, or the cream of the crop of his creation, is mankind. And listen, and the psalmist in Psalm 139, the 13th through the 14th verses, he recognized that mankind, that he is Elohim's masterpiece, that we are the cream of the crop of his creation. Look what he says. For thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, 14th verse, for I am fearfully and wonderfully what? Made. And then he says, after recognizing that he has been fearfully and wonderfully made, you understand? He's now saying in the second portion of the 14th verse of Psalms 139 about how marvelous are thy works. So when you look at yourself, you should be acknowledging how fearfully and wonderfully Elohim has made you and I. That's why you shouldn't be depressed about yourself. That's why you shouldn't be stressed about yourself. Because you and I have been fearfully and wonderfully made by Yah Elohim, according to Genesis, the 7th through the 9th verse. Isn't that beautiful? And we should acknowledge Elohim for making us. And that's what this psalmist does. You know, he says, marvelous are thy works. He's not talking about the works of the heavens, or the works of the creation in the earth, except the creation of mankind. That's what he's talking about. You understand? And he said, my soul knoweth well. Fifteenth verse, my substance was not hid from thee, when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. 16th verse, thy eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O Elohim! How great is the sum of them. Now listen, you and I have been fearfully and wonderfully made. We were fearfully and wonderfully made by Elohim. Now, that this virus attacks, what is the makeup that this man-made virus attacks? What is the makeup, what is the Elohim makeup of our bodies that this man-made virus attacks? Let's find out what the makeup is. Who knows what a cell is? A cell. Who knows what a cell is? And I'm not talking about a jail cell. A cell. C-E-L-L. What is a cell? Well, or what are cells? Cells are the basic building blocks of all living things. The human body is composed of trillions of cells. Now, we have someone that's in here that's studying in the medical field. But, so, according to this definition, cells is what all living things, and not just the human body, but all living things have many cells in them. Now, we want to point out that the human body is composed of trillions of cells. Now, who in here has heard of the T cell? What is a T cell?
I think it's a cell that fights off cancer.
Yes, sir. And not just cancer.
Yeah.
Shamel, come erase that bottom part. A T cell, or T cells, are one of the major components of the immune system. And what is an immune system? And let's keep in mind what the psalmist said in 139. I will praise thee, Elohim, for I am wonderfully and fearfully made. I will praise thee, Elohim, for I am wonderfully, fearfully equipped. T cells are one of the major components of the immune system. Their roles include directly killing infected host cells, activating other immune cells, producing and regulating the immune system response. And as a source reference, I got this from Teach Me Physiology on the internet. You can type that up, Google. That's a source reference. A T cell is one of the major components of the immune system. And their role includes directly killing infected host cells and activating other immune cells, producing and regulating the immune response. So, in this body that Elohim fearfully and wonderfully made, according to Psalms 139, he put in this body a mechanism to preserve the body. And when you think of he put in this body an immune system equipped with T cells. What does the word immune mean? What does the word immune?
Take it from harm, I guess.
That's right. Immunity. Some politicians, they get immunity from prosecution while they are serving as a public servant, right? Some secret intelligence agencies get immunity. You understand? From prosecution that regular civilians will get, but that they won't get for doing some secret activities for the government. You understand? Thank you for the definition. So, immunity means protection from something. So the Most High, in order to preserve this body that He fearfully and wonderfully made, and he fearfully and wonderfully made this body. Why? Why did He fearfully and wonderfully make it? So we can do what we want to do in this body? No. Well, we see that the Apostle Paul, in his epistles to the church of Corinth, he said in one of his epistles that the body is the temple of what? Elohim. Your body is the temple of Elohim. Your body is not for you to sin or transgress or to offer you to alter to do something else outside of the will of Elohim. Let me say it again. Your body is not for you to alter outside the will of Elohim. Every time you do something outside the will of Elohim, outside of His written instructions in the Torah Gospel of Hamashiach, you are altering your body to do something that it wasn't made to do. You understand? Just like a man-made virus. And just like a vaccine, which some allege will alter your DNA. See, the body with the immune system and the T cell was made to what? Heal itself. Uh-oh. I told you the scriptures give us good data, even better data than some of this scientific data that they are reporting on over the news media outlets. And I'm not against all scientific data, but I do believe that scientific data should be inclusive of spiritual insight data on the human makeup, on the DNA. So Elohim, fearfully and wonderfully placed within this body an immune system armed with T cells to fight a war against natural viruses, as Elder Scales pointed out, Scales 22 YouTube, and also to fight, as Elder Scales exposed, man-made viruses. Now, whenever something is fighting something, they're at war with something. Hello? Right? So, when a virus invades the body, let's find out what it does. When a virus invades the body, they usually take captive one of the the cells within the body and alter the cell, the function of the cell, and causes the cell to malfunction. And as the cell is malfunctioning, the virus is replicating itself. So when the cells break down, the defense mechanism of your internal organs break down. And when the defense organism of your internal organs break down, then what eventually happens to you?
You break down.
You break down. In other words, you what?
You die.
You die. You die. So there's a virus war going on. Because we're now living in an era where viruses that are made in laboratories, and if they're made in laboratories, that means that they're what?
Synthetic.
Synthetic, which means they're what? Man-made, right? Made to attack your body. And then we have the same one that makes these viruses. And I'm not talking about no conspiracy theory stuff, you understand? Because that's what they would label me as. That's what they would label this message as, to get you not to believe it. They always want to undercut the messenger when they can't undercut the message. But you can't undercut this because I'm speaking scientific data. I'm using scientific data coupled with scriptural data. I'm using medical facts coupled with scriptural data. Because the thing about the medical is that it addresses the physiology of it. It addresses the cause and effects of the physiology, but it neglects the spirituality. So, the virus attacks the T cells. Now, when natural viruses attack the T cells has been equipped to fight off natural viruses. You understand? So when the Most High made us, and gave us this body, you understand? He equipped us. He equipped this body to preserve itself. In other words, he equipped this body to heal itself. So when a natural virus attacks a T cell, the T cell is usually strong enough to fight off the natural virus. But when there's a man-made virus, or a synthetic virus, as Elder Scales point out on this channel, Scales 22, you understand? The T cell is not used to dealing with a synthetic virus, or a virus that was made in the laboratory. So the T cell usually end up falling victim to the synthetic or man-made virus. And in other words, the T cell, which was meant to help preserve the body and to fight off viruses, end up being compromised, where it puts up no fight, or it puts up only a losing fight. So what we have here is a virus war. You understand? And many people have a legitimate concern about the COVID-19 virus because as has been even acknowledged by the President of the United States at this time in 2020, that this allegedly originated in China. And this is not a natural virus. This is something that was made by man, you understand, with the intent to break down the T cells of the body, you understand, with the intent to implement a vaccine, you understand, to address a man-made vaccine to address a man-made virus. A man-made vaccine to address a man-made what? Virus. It's like saying that, well, we made this virus and now we're going to make a vaccine for the virus that we made. Let me say it again. It's like someone saying, well, I made this virus in the laboratory and it got out of hand. Now I need to go back into my laboratory and make a vaccine as a remedy to this virus. Y'all see that? So, we have the powers that be trying to address this virus war. And I'm going to name some of the ABC's institutions that some you maybe know of, may know of, by the acronyms. One I would mention is the NIH. The NIH, which is headed by Dr. Fauci. And the NIH is an acronym for National Institute of Allergy and Infection Diseases. The National Institute of Allergy and Infection Diseases, known by the acronym as the NIH. They conduct and supports basic and applied research to better understand, treat, and ultimately prevent infections and allergy diseases. And another one I would mention to you, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia, is called the CDC. Y'all want to be mindful of these ABC's institutions that they are mentioning over the news outlets. Don't just let it go over your head. But the CDC is an acronym for Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention collaborates to create the expertise, information, that people and communities need to protect their health through health promotion, prevention of disease, injury and disability, and preparedness for new health threats. So, the NIH, which is the National Institute of Allergy and Infection Diseases, and the CDC, Center for Disease Control. You understand? In a lot of these news media outlets, we hear so often about them giving recommendations either to the president or to state local governors or mayors, you understand, on guidelines we should follow, even concerning things like wearing the face mask and social distancing, you understand? And listen, I'm not one of those who take the position that there's nothing out there. There is something out there, but my position is that it wasn't God made. It wasn't something that Elohim made. My position is that it was something that was man-made. You understand? And it was man-made, not with goodwill. You understand? Anything that's man-made, a virus that's made to break down the T cell and the immune system, is not of good intentions. You understand? The pharmaceutical companies of the world, they make millions and billions off of unhealthy people. Unhealthy bodies is big business to somebody. Y'all hear me? Somebody is making up millions and billions off of the ignorance of the people. Somebody is making millions and billions off of the ignorance of the people to what's really going on concerning this virus war. Anything that serves to break down the T cells or the immune system that Elohim put in your body to preserve your body and for your body to heal itself, you understand, it's witchcraft. And let me tell you this also, anything that you partake in knowingly in your body that's unclean, you understand, it's witchcraft. You understand? And don't forget the one that's called the FDA, which is Food Drugs Administration. Before they can release a vaccine, it has to be approved of, it usually has to be approved of or by the FDA, which is another government agency called Food Drugs Administration. So you want to be mindful of these three ABCs, agencies, the CDC, the NIH, and the FDA. You understand? Because a lot of recommendations concerning this virus war that we're in is coming from these three organizations. And there are others as well. And there are other individuals and scientific data organizations and scientists and who are giving their input as well. Some are known and some are not known. You understand? But the thing that we need to be watchful and prayerful about and very mindful of is not to be deceived. YAH'S said in the Gospel of Matthew, the 24th chapter, take heed, or in other words, pay attention that no man what? That no man deceive you. That no man deceive you about anything. You understand? Because listen, they are trying to, as I'm about to conclude, they are trying to implement a new world order. And even with this vaccine that they say is a remedy to the COVID-19, well, let me tell you something. Everything that Elohim made for the self-preservation of the body, it comes with no side effects. Y'all hear me? But everything that man makes, as a remedy to a sickness or a disease or an infection or a virus, it comes with what? Side effects. So, whatever vaccine that you voluntarily give yourself up to, I would like to encourage you to study the side effects. You understand? And I'm not here to make any decisions for anybody. I'm simply here to inform you and to give you scientific data coupled with scriptural data on how to make sound decisions concerning this virus war that we're in, concerning the COVID-19 and the recent release of the vaccine. I'm about to conclude. The writing of many books, there is no end. Much study is wisdom to the mind. Hear the conclusion. Fear Yah and keep the commandments. Give all body Yah a hand clap praise. At this particular time, we'll take up